हाँ भाई, वीगन बियर्ड का है, घास फूस खाता रहता, कुछ है भी तेरे पास?
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a damn if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're dreaming. There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake.
Hey guys, I know the exact question striking in your mind: how the hell they built their physique just by eating plants? But, before moving further, let's see, what is veganism? Elimination of the use of animal products, particularly in diet. Now getting back to our question, first thing which would pop in your mind is how would you get enough protein just by eating plants? We have been fed in our minds that for gaining muscle and strength we should eat animal protein, but this is not the case. All that protein that you get when you eat chicken or meat, where did it come from? It came from the plants that the animal ate. So in other words, all protein originates in plants. Cows, pigs and chickens, it turns out, they are just middlemen. In fact, largest study to compare the nutrient intake of meat eaters with plant eaters showed that the average plant eater not only get enough protein but 70% more than they need. Even meat eaters get roughly half of their protein from plants. For example, 1 cup of cooked lentil or peanut butter sandwich has about as much protein as 3 ounces of meat or 3 large eggs. So, it is clear that we would get more than enough protein to build and maintain muscle by eating plants. Now you would be thinking, what about quality of protein? We have always heard that plant-based protein is always inferior. Building block of protein are amino acids, and there are some amino acids our body can't make which are called as essential amino acids. So we have to get them from food. Biggest misconception about plant-based protein is that they aren't complete, but study has shown that every single plant contains all essential amino acids in varying proportions. And when it comes to gaining strength and muscle mass, research comparing plant and animal protein has shown that as long as the proper amount of amino acid are consumed, the source is irrelevant. Now you would think how plant-based diet would give you enough energy for exercise? But before answering this, let's see how this meat gives you energy thing started. Around 1800s, a famous German chemist Justus von Liebig hypothesized that muscular energy came from animal protein and vegetarians were incapable of prolonged exercise. Liebig's beliefs were so widely accepted that they even inspired USDA's first protein recommendations. By the time science proved his theory false with discovery that hard-working muscles run primarily on carbohydrates found in plants, it was too late. People all around the world had already bought into Liebig's ideas about meat and energy. But still there were some who weren't convinced. As early as 1908, plant-based athletes were starting to claim their first Olympic golds.
Are you still sticking to your vegetarian diet, Mary?
Very rigidly, yes.
And do you find that's a benefit to you, do you?
Greatly, or I wouldn't do it.
Winning the gold medal. Lewis gets it, and it's a new world record as well.
I changed my diet to a vegan diet, and I set all of my personal bests at 30 years old.
The oldest man ever to win a world.
And there are current Olympians, too. So answer is, actual energy for exercise comes mainly from carbohydrates in the form of glycogen that we store in muscles. And when we sacrifice those carbohydrate calories for protein calories in our diet, it will lead to chronic carbohydrate or glycogen depletion, which leads to chronic fatigue and loss of stamina. Now most of people watching video may be neither sports person nor bodybuilders, but this is not only about them. This is about entire human population living on this planet. Our main aim of making this video is to reach out to people about serious consequences of animal-based diet on our health. What we eat has major impact on our health and our well-being in every way we can measure. People who eat a diet that's high in animal protein have a 75% increased risk of premature death from all causes, and 400 to 500% increased risk of death from most forms of cancer, prostate, breast, colon cancer, as well as type 2 diabetes. Amino acids from animal sources tend to make our cells multiply faster. Study has shown that high consumption of proteins from dairy sources is related to a 40% higher risk of prostate cancer. Cancer has been linked to other animal foods. As well, research funded by the National Cancer Institute found that vegetarians who add 1 or more servings per week of chicken or fish more than triple their risk of colon cancer. Eating animal products results in formation of plaques in coronary arteries, which doesn't just limit function of arteries. It also blocks the blood flow, and that's when the heart starts to have some real problems, keeping up with the demands of body, leading to heart disease. Another factor which can lead to heart disease is endothelial dysfunction, which is type of non-obstructive coronary artery disease. It means that there is no blockage in arteries. Instead, arteries are not working properly, which may be a very clear warning sign of plaque formation, as well as heart attack or stroke. Endothelium is a lining of blood vessels which regulates blood flow throughout body. When particular muscle group or organ needs more blood flow, it dilates or opens up. Now when we eat animal-based food, there is more fat in blood, which impairs endothelial function, as a result of which it cannot open up and allow blood flow to increase as much. Numerous studies have also shown that how a single animal-based meal can impair blood flow. On the other hand, large body of research shows that plant-based food have opposite effect, improving endothelial function and increasing blood flow. For nearly 50 years, we were told that the primary cause of heart disease was saturated fat and cholesterol, and the leaner meat, lower fat dairy products and egg whites were the solution. But the research now shows that the other inflammatory compounds in animal foods play a significant role in the development of heart disease. For example, heme iron is present in animal food, and from meta-analysis looking over 6 prospective dietary studies, over 130,000 patients showed that 1 mg per day of heme iron is associated with 27% increase in risk of coronary heart disease. So if we consider an average hamburger, it has 2 to 3 milligrams. It's not just red meat, not just chicken, not just eggs, not just milk, it's the ingestion of any animal protein. When the protein found in animal foods is cooked, preserved, or even just digested by our gut bacteria, highly inflammatory compounds like heterocyclic amines, nitrosamines, trimethylamine N oxide that corrode our cardiovascular system. This helps to explain why people who get all of their protein from plants reduce their risk of heart disease by 55%. Also, plant-based diet lowers cholesterol level in blood. It would also help explain why the only diet that has ever been shown to actually reverse heart disease is a plant-based one. Now, next important aspect of human health is healing process, and you would be surprised to know that plant-based diet accelerates healing process. It optimizes growth of blood vessels into damaged tissue, and leads to growth of new tissue in tendons and muscles, stimulates immune system to fight off infection, overcomes inflammation and help body to recover quickly. Now question arises, how plant-based protein overcome inflammation? Plant-based protein is packed with antioxidants, phytochemicals, minerals and vitamins, optimize microbiome, optimize blood supply, thereby reducing inflammation. On other hand, animal-based protein is packed with inflammatory molecules, like new 5-GC, endotoxin and heme iron. It also changes the microbiome, that is bacteria that live in our gut, and bacterial species that have been shown to promote inflammation overgrow, and begin to produce inflammatory mediators like GMAO. Also, study has shown that single hamburger can increase measures of inflammation by 70%. This inflammation leads to reduced blood flow in arteries, and increased soreness in muscles and joints, thereby delaying recovery. Antioxidants are found almost entirely in plants, which have an average 64 times the antioxidant content of animal foods. For example, iceberg lettuce has more antioxidants than salmon or eggs. As a result, switching to a plant-based diet can help reduce measures of inflammation by 29% in just 3 weeks. Till now we have seen benefits of plant-based diet on our health, but still there is one factor which needs to be explained, and that is hormones. There would be question in your mind whether eating plant-based diet would affect your hormonal levels. Let's take an example of testosterone. Research has shown that whether you eat animal food or not, there is no difference in testosterone level. Now we have always been told that soy products which are included in plant-based diet are loaded with estrogen, so how testosterone levels are unaffected? But actually, soy contains phytoestrogens, which are compounds that look like estrogen, but have opposite effect. They block some of our body's estrogen receptors, and prevent real dietary sources of estrogen from taking hold. The foods that contain real estrogens are animal foods, like chicken, eggs, and dairy. which can have a significant impact on our hormone levels. Simply drinking cow's milk can increase men's estrogen levels by 26% in just 1 hour while dropping their testosterone levels by 18%. Another hormone strongly connected to diet is cortisol, a stress hormone linked to reduced muscle mass and increased body fat. Research has shown that people who replace animal foods with high-carbohydrate plant foods experience an average drop in cortisol levels of 27%. Now, after this entire groundbreaking nutritional science, you would think, how could meat be so bad for us, if that's what our ancestors were supposedly built to eat? The popular perception of what early humans are dates back to 1930s to 1940s, when there was some amazing finds of early human ancestors, animal bones and tools that very much looked like they may have been used to butcher and maim these animals. So from early time, we had notion that meat had a disproportionately larger role in the diet of early human ancestors than it actually did. Also, there is bias in archaeological record between bone and stone preservation and plant, which has led to a very skewed view. We know that bone and stone tools preserve very well, but plants decay very rapidly. But in last decade, we came to know that microscopic fossils of plants do preserve quite well. So after revisiting some of these earlier Paleolithic sites, led to discovery of abundant evidence of plant. By using advanced technologies, scientists analyzed tools, bones, and teeth of our ancestors, leading to discovery of that early humans ate mostly plants. Reason for this is actually quite simple. Humans do not have any specialized genetic, anatomical, or physiological adaptations to meat consumption. On the other hand, we have many adaptations to plant consumption. We have longer digestive tract than do carnivores, and this allows humans to digest plants and fiber that require longer processing time. We also lack the ability to produce our own vitamin C, which is found in plants, so it indicates that how reliant upon plant we actually are. This is why we have trichromatic vision, which is very different from carnivores, which have dichromatic vision. We can see more colors, and this is very important, especially if you need to find fresh ripe fruit. We have a brain which is just desperate for glucose, and glucose is only thing which it takes for energy. Well, meat is not a very good source of glucose. To have a big brain like this, you need to eat something different, and the most efficient way to get glucose is to eat carbohydrates. Now let's have a look at our teeth. We think that our teeth are proof that we are built to eat meat, but it's not the case. In primates, you might think that canines are associated with diet of meat, but they are not, because in gorillas, when males want to intimidate other males, they will show the length of their formidable canines. On the other hand, carnivores have distinctive teeth, and they are shaped like scissor blades. They simply shred the meat off, and they swallow. Compare that to the teeth of a human being, square, and low-cusped, for crushing and grinding tough plant tissues. So right there is your own mouth, is the best evidence we have for a diet that could have been meat. So the reason animal-based diet isn't good for us, is because our bodies aren't built for it. It's simply the wrong type of fuel. The only thing we couldn't get from plant-based diet is vitamin B12, which everyone says you could only get from animal foods, but it turns out that B12 isn't made by animals after all. It's made by bacteria that these animals consume in soil and water. Just like with protein, animals are only the middlemen. Before industrial farming, farm animals and humans could get B12 by eating traces of dirt on plant foods or by drinking water from rivers or streams. But now, because pesticides, antibiotics, and chlorine kill the bacteria that produce this vitamin, even farm animals have to be given B12 supplements, and up to 39% of people tested, including meat eaters, are low in B12. As a result, the best way for humans to get enough B12, whether they eat animal foods or not, it's simply to take a supplement.
Bruce Lee understood that the quest for the truth is only useful if you are prepared to take action on what you find.
Most of you will say, oh, I just can't become vegan.
Yes, you're right. It's a process to it.
And this process has already been started.
Hi guys, I just wanted to record a little message for all of you. Firstly, beginning with the time that I turned vegetarian, I had a lot of people opposing what I wanted to do, what I decided to do, and a lot of people said, "Oh, you're not going to have enough energy, you're not going to have enough stamina, and you're going to struggle playing sport and all those kind of things." But I think the fun in doing the things that are not, sort of stereotypical, is that you have a chance to create something which people don't believe in before, and then you set an example. And I was convinced that it is possibly a myth, and that I definitely can break that myth, and I've never felt better in my life. ever since I turned vegetarian. So I'm really, really proud of that decision, and that I stuck to something that I decided to do. So as I said, the boundaries are only in your particular minds, in your own minds, and you must break those barriers, you must cross those boundaries and do something special. So I wish you guys all the best in all the endeavors that you embark on, and all my best wishes to you. Cheers.
Fight back.
It's not about being the strongest and the biggest. It's really about what are you going to do with your strength and what are you going to do with the power that you have.
We humans have just focused on ourselves, but our choices are seriously affecting environment and creating imbalance in ecology. Meat industry is expanding at a pace to fulfill human needs, thereby crouching slowly in natural habitat. About 3/4 agriculture land in world is used for livestock production, which is the biggest source of habitat destruction. Meat, dairy, egg, fish farming use 83% of world's farmland, and provide only 18% of world's calories. The reason livestock require so much land is because, once again, animals are just the middlemen, consuming on average 6 times more protein than they produce. More than 70 billion animals consumed globally each year. Growing animal feed requires vast amounts of land, making it one of the leading drivers of deforestation. Meat plays disproportionately larger role in causing overuse of fresh water. 25% of the rivers in the world no longer reach the ocean because we're taking out so much water to produce animal feed. Water has been fed into the grain, that's been fed to the cattle. Cattle's been made into beef. One hamburger is 2,400 liters of embedded water. That's a huge amount of water. Also, more than a quarter of humanity's freshwater consumption goes to produce animal foods. And issue is not just water depletion, it's also water pollution. In United States, for example, farm animals produce nearly 50 times more waste per year than its entire human population, polluting rivers, lakes and groundwater all across the country. Livestock sector is responsible for 15% of global man-made emissions, which is same as all emissions from all forms of transport in world, planes, trains, cars, vans and ships all added up. Agriculture is not only the biggest culprit threatening the future for humanity on Earth, it is also the biggest and most important silver bullet to a solution. In US, where meat consumption is 3 times the global average, shifting away from an animal-based diet would reduce agricultural emissions by up to 73%, and save 1 million liters of water per person per year. Globally, this shift would free up a total area of land the size of Africa, taking pressure off many of the world's most endangered ecosystems and species. This message is overwhelming and clear for both public health and environmental reasons. Veganism isn't a diet. It's a lifestyle, and it's easy. It's about looking beyond ourselves, thinking about how our choices affect others.
Fight back.